Welcome to JC Connect. Mm, Maybe in the last class, we have covered some of the introduction part and the possible theory questions which we'll get from the estimation part. And also, I given one problem for you to work out. I don't know how many of you solved that problem. So try to work on that problems. Maybe all the measurements are in feet, but today we'll try to solve one more problem based on the millimeter dimensions, and we'll try to estimate it with our simple one type of residential building. So before going to that, measurement of any of the building is very much essential, because what will happen is that maybe you can um, believe that some people have taken the measurement. With that measurement, if you start it, maybe many times you will go wrong. So better to go to the field and verify each of those quantities. In particularly, it is better to not to depend on anybody while calculating the measurements, because sometimes what will happen is that maybe you will send some persons to measure it. Instead of measuring the length of 4 meter, if we mentioned 5 meters, so you are going to lose 1 meter shortfall, or in the calculating the quantities, and it will affect to the whole process, because measurement itself is a basis for um, calculating the quantities and estimating further, and recommending for approval and all those things many times. So it has happened in some of the cases that hmm, I already discussed the first party, second party, and the third party level of inspection um, in execution of any of the building works or road works or whatever it is. The first party always includes the contractor. Second party, the second always he includes the department level, that is AE or JE or whatever it is. And the third party is no way concerned with the first and second party. The third party will be called for verification of all the quantities at the site, along with the prices. Of course, the price will be the secondary, but the third party will be called for the verification of the exact measurements on the spots on the field itself. So in that cases, what will happen is that there are many times the mismatch is going to happen between the estimated copy, and when they measure it, it will vary. So once this difference is coming, most of the time what will happen is that they will reject. They have all the powers to reject your estimate, and normally what will happen is that again the process will be changed. You have to go back, you have to reapprove the estimate, because once it is approved that they said that it is a 4 meter, but when once they come and once they verified it on the spot, if it is a 5 meter, means you have to change that estimate. Once you want to change the estimate, it is not a simple procedure in the department level or in the government organizations, because what will happen is that instead of 4 meter and 5 meter, if you want to change the data, so it has to be again reapproved by the concerned authorities like AEE or whatever it is there, and it is a biggest problem. So better to go with the correct measurement techniques, and what kind of measurements normally we have to follow while starting of the estimation. And they have framed some of the rules, and you have to use strictly that IS code to the measurement of um, the building quantities. So some of the rules for the measurements are, the, the first one is, of course you have to follow the IS 1200 to make the rules. What the rule will say is that measurement shall be made for furnish of the items of the work. A description of the items shall include the materials, transport labors, fabrication tools and plants, and all other overheads of the finishing of the works in required shape, size and specifications. So this is the first point is very 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 important, because normally when you start mm, going with the kind of, for example, plastering, if you are saying it, what kind of plastering you are doing it, what kind of cement you are using it, what kind of sand you are using it, how much quantity you are using it, mm, and what is the plastering, what is the how much area you are plastering it, that all those things you have to consider it in terms of shape, size and specifications. These three are very important. Shape means in what shape it is there. Okay, size means what kind of size, for example, 3 or 4, 3 by 4 or 6 by 4, like that it is. And the specifications means I already discussed some of the specifications in the previous classes, that you have to strictly follow. That is a cement to mortar ratio 1 is to 1, 1 is to 2, 1 is to 3. Normally plastering, when it comes to the things, that it will be 1 is to 1, 1 is to 1 is to 3, based on the one single coat, double coat or triple coat. So in that way you have to follow it. The second one is, in booking the order shall be in sequence of the length, breadth and height of the thickness. So normally when you are providing it, give the details in the sequence, like length, breadth and height. Don't put the height first, because it is assumed that the first measurement, if I mention 3 by 2 by 3, 3 will be 3 by 2 by 1, so 3 will be the length, 2 will be the breadth and 1 will be the thickness. Then nobody will mention that it will be first it will be breadth, first it will be height. It's not like that. Normally it will be LBH only. So no need to mention that. Is a standard rule or the standard protocol. If I mention that it is a 3 is to 2 is to 1, it has to be understood that um, it is L into B into H only. So that's a standard protocol, you have to follow it. So then all work shall be measured subject to the following tolerance. So first one is normally accuracy. We tolerance means it is accuracy. So the linear measurements. When you say it is a linear measurements, it is always a length, breadth, height. So that normally we can call it as a linear measurements lengthwise. So it's the accuracy of 0.01 meters accuracy, you have to follow it. So next, area should be of 0.01 square meter. So then cubical shape, that is volume measurements can be of 0.01 cubic meters. So the first one is in terms of the linear measurements. The second one is in terms of area measurements. So the third one is in terms of the volume measurements. If these three are accurate, means nowhere you will go wrong, and nobody will tell you to reapprove the estimate. So same type of work under different conditions and nature shall be measured separately under separate items. So normally you divide the work properly, and don't club like what, for example, one single room is there. In that single room, how much quantity of cement is required. The second room, how much quantity of cement is required. Third room, how much quantity of cement is required. Don't club, all three rooms. Don't club it and give it like this is a quantity. At the end you can bring it, but when you are calculating or when you are showing the estimate, it should be separately calculated with a separate rooms or separate items, as well as the if you divide the whole area into um, around 4 rooms, so give it separately along with the items in the sense that plastering how much, excavation how much, in that sense. So the bill, the fifth point is the bill of the quantities shall fully describe the materials proportion workmanship, accurately represent the work to be executed. So that you have to make it, that item was you have to calculate it. In case of masonry, a stone, brick or structural concrete, the category shall be measured separately and the height shall be described. So from foundation to plinth level, how much quantity of brick is required. From plinth level to first floor level, how much quantity is required. From first level to second floor level. So always when you are doing the estimate, what you can do is that masonry work, in masonry work is one item. So in masonry work, what you can do is that from foundation to plinth level, how much it is required. how much, what type of masonry you are providing it. Next, from plinth level to first floor level, how much quantity of stone or this one is required. Then from first floor to second floor, how much it is required. In the masonry itself, what you have to do is that you have to divide all those things and you have to separate it, and you have to show it on the that detailed estimate table. So these are some of the things we have to follow according to that IS code. Maybe one or theory questions they will ask, what are the measurement techniques or a measurement criteria for the before execution of the building estimate, as for IS 1200. Then what you have to do is that all this 5 to 6 7 6 points you have to cover and you have to write it. Then this is very important, fixing a rate per unit of the item. So it has to be done for the following things. Of course, this you already know it, but still when the theory question is has been asked, how you are going to fix the rate per item, what are the criteria you are following, it means you have to do it, you have to write all these following items. First one is quantity of the material and the cost. Of course, the requirement of materials are taken strictly in accordance with the standard data book. Of course, STB normally we will uh, go with the our PWD SR rate. And in the last class, in the last previous classes, I already given you some of the standard protocols like um, RCC. For example, cement, concrete is there. What kind of grade, how much strength, M20, M25, M30, M40, what is the proportion. So with that code you have to follow it. And one more thing we have already covered in the last class, that how much dry weight of the cement and sand, how much it will give the wet. So that kind of things you have to follow it. Actually, you refer that the data which I have supplied, rather than giving the PWDSR book. Maybe the soft copy of the PWDSR book I'll supply to you soon. um, uh, Actually, the PWDSR book, I have concised it and I have already sent to you in the previous class slides. You can use that standard data book. The cost of this includes the first cost, freight, insurance, and transportation charges. So normally, when you are talking about this, you have to talk in terms of mm, mm, its cost, its freight, insurance, and transportation charges. Always, whenever the goods are supplying to you, all four includes are all four details are should be included in the first item. Then the cost of the labor, of course the exact number of laborers. In that you have first class labor is there, second class labor is there, third class labor is there. So when it comes to that, you give the first class labor normally a little bit higher skill in that execution of the work. Second class means slightly it's around, normally we'll pay it for them 500 to 600 rupees. The second class is around 4 to 500 rupees. And the third class we will for give it around 2 to 300 rupees cost, normally we'll provide it according to our PWDSR book. Then the cost of the equipment, this is very important. So normally when you use any of the equipments for your execution work, if you need some special type of equipment, tools or the plants, so you have to mention what will be the expenditure for that equipment, how much it is required. Then overhead charges, to meet the expenses of the office, rent, depreciation of the equipment, salaries of the staff, lighting and amount of, total it is a 4% of the estimate should be allocated. This is normally we'll take it as 4%, but nowadays what is happening is that if you see the PWD SR book, it is they have raised it up to 7 to 8%. And the previous the cost of the equipments, it is they have raised to 4 to 5%. Previously it was 1 to 2% that you edit it. It is around now 4 to 5%. It is now it is the last one, it they have increased up to 8% overhead charges. So this we have already covered in the class, but when you are writing it, you write it if the questions, if they ask how you are going to fix the rate per unit item, you have to write all the all these four items. So now you take this problem and try to solve it. This is a simple residential building, and try to estimate it. So it consists of the kitchen is there, one bed is there, one hall is there, and you can see that mm, so all the dimensions are in only. For example, if they have written the hall dimensions, it is 6800 to 4000 Next, bed, it is 3500 to 3500, means and kitchen, it is 3000 to 3300 This is the plan. And the second, in the thing they have given, it is the section. You can see that from the excavation to the plinth level, you can see that it is starting with uh, 400, thickness is 400, 600, and 500. And the height also they have mentioned on the right side. And they have mentioned that is made up of cement concrete, cc of concrete, which is made up of concrete. The first base, it is made up of cement concrete, that is 1 is to 5 is to 10, means um, how much they are providing the cement, how much they are using the sand, how much they are using this aggregator. Then the after that they are using the cement mortar. Last, that's the 400, 600 and 800, the say 500, 600 and 800. In the basement, we are discussing about the basement from bottom to the plinth level. You can see that it is the masonry, there is a cement concrete of 1 is to 6. Then again, above that, they have the cement concrete of 1 is to 6. Then above that, they are having the RCC, they are providing it. Then above that, they are providing it with a cement concrete, again 1 is to 6. Then they are providing with one parapet wall. So this is some of the typical design details of this example. In this, you can see that they have mentioned the D stands for door. Door dimension is 100 by 1000 by 2000. And the of course, window, they have mentioned it, which is of 1200 to 1500. Mm. Maybe if you are not visualizing, if you are not if it is not clear, you just put one message that what will be the dimension of that if it is not visible properly. So with this, I have drawn it with some of the tool, where you can see that um, with a center line diagram I have drawn it. So whenever if you are doing with or whenever you are writing with or solving with the central line method, the first foremost thing what you have to do is that you have to draw first a center line diagram. This is how you have to draw it. Once you draw the center line diagram, it will be very clear that very clear that mm, uh, easy to calculate with the dimensions. Now we can see that if you go back to the previous plan, in the this is a plan line diagram. You can see that in the previous diagram, they have mentioned they have mentioned in the first row, they have mentioned it around 3000 to 3500. Um, so it is along the length and the breadth you are talking about. So length is 3000, and on the bed kitchen, that is 3000, and the bed is of around 3500. So if you go to this slide, and the thickness of the wall also they have given. How much they have given the thickness of the wall is that mm, it is 300 is there. And the thickness of the wall, they have given that it is 300 thick. So 300 means it is At the center, if you take it, it is a 1.5. If you calculate it on the all two sides, it will be like 3.3 is there. So that is 3. So that is 300, and this is 1.5, and other the 1.5. So then you can see that it is a 3.3 and 3.8. So then multiply by three sides, so it is the three sides are there. Then you have 3.8, 3 point again, they have calculated it for 3 times. Then 4.3, you have two walls are there opposite sides, you can see that, that is two numbers are there. Total we are getting the length of 41.3 meters. And the number of T junctions, you can see that there is a number of 4. Wherever the circles you can see on that diagram, you can see that they are all the T junctions. So try to work on this problem, and the detailed solution is also have given, and try to match it. If you have any problems or if any mistake is there in this detailed estimate of the building, you can contact me. Maybe this kind of items you have to provide it in detail. So normally this kind of problems that they will ask in your examination process, and try to match the values, and try to deduct whenever you are calculating the building quantities. Try to deduct the windows, doors, and try to put it on separate sections, that we deducted items. Here also you can see that earthwork excavation is there. So how much length is there, breadth is there, height is there, and how much total quantity they have already calculated it. It is totally they are getting around 41.3. They are deducting that all dimensions. Mhm. um, and CC bed also you can see, 1 is to 5 is to 10. They have given rubber masonry, they have calculated, and TPC proof they have calculated, and brickwork. So whenever I already said that the what the rules for measurements, what that it is, but whenever the rules for measurements, if they are doing it, mm, calculate it for superstructure with cement concrete 1 is to 6. Then a parapet wall, calculate it separately. Then go for the plastering. So it is plastering of 12 point mm thickness with a cement mortar of 1 is to 5. Then I already said that you have to deduct the doors and windows, and you have to separate it, calculate separate it. And flooring with cement concrete, again they have to do the flooring with the cement concrete 1 is to 2 is to 4. So that also have to calculate it. Then ceiling, same as flooring. Then go for the slab, and whitewashing, and some of the supply and fixing for the doors and windows, that also have to calculate it. mm, painting systems, door and windows, and some of the unforeseen items, that also you have to calculate it. And some of the contingencies also you have to calculate, that is a 4% of the total estimated cost. The previous one is a detailed estimate, this, and then this is the abstract estimate of the building, and cross verify each and every unit of the building, and get back to me. Maybe this kind of problems you have already solved in your BE classes. um, uh, and better you can go with this one only. And this is the quantity estimate they have calculated with PWD-SR rate of 2012. And if you have any confusion with the diagrams, what you can do is that in the diagram, if the dimensions are not visible properly, you can see those details in the table, in the detailed estimate table. In the detailed estimate table, you can see that the doors and windows sizes are deducted. So these are the abstract estimate of the total building. So the total estimate is around 39 lakhs, 3 lakhs 92,890 rupees. Total building cost. Of course, it is a 2012 estimate. So roughly it is a 4 lakhs. But if you estimate now, it may reaches up to around 12 to 15 lakhs. So thank you.